When the last vampire is extinct, who will mourn our passing? Will she? Will anyone?
Hey guys, before this episode starts, I just want to quickly say that I, Jerry, am a little off on this episode because I had spent the week getting used to new medicine. I had a really rough week dealing with anxiety and depression, so please forgive that and enjoy the episode.
This story takes place in the distant future, when mutants and demons slither through a world of darkness.
Hello everyone, welcome to Kill the Cast. My name is Jerry, and joining me today is, of course, the ever-quotable Jay.
What a wonderful night this has been. For the first time in 100 years, I haven't been bored once.
Well, that's going to change. And the Silent Hill biker himself, Kenneth.
Hi.
I just wanted to pause at how cute that hi was.
I
felt
I'm
it
a little
needed it.
taken aback. I'm swooning a little bit.
I maximum swoonage.
Swoon.
So,
Take the time to just say that word. Say it.
what?
Say it slow and enjoy it.
Swoon.
Swoon.
Swoon. I hope this podcast swoons you.
It reminds me of that thing in damn Donnie Darko where she's like the greatest words in the world. Cellar door.
That was
swoon.
I always thought that was interesting, and I was like, I never looked into it, but is there really a thing that cellar door is the most beautiful combination of words? Is that what
I
it
don't
is?
have. I don't have any idea.
I've always been kind of curious at that. So anyway, while Jay apparently is looking that up, quick little update for Kill the Cast. It's been a little bit. That's because there's been a lot of personal stuff going on in everyone's life, but we're back together. And we are now affiliated with Legion Podcast Network, so we're pretty stoked to be joining those guys. And on top of that, Jay and I have been doing a news show called News from the Noose that has been pretty fun to do. Jay's been the backbone of that.
Oh, no, I said I've been having a blast with it. That's
Yeah, it's been
bad.
fun looking at all the new releases and just in general talking about the little tiny updates we have in the horror world. And on top of all of that, tonight we are going to be doing another anime double feature because the last one was a lot of fun for us. Jay missed the last one, but he is here for this one. Last time we did Wicked City and Perfect Blue, and tonight we are doing a special request from our buddy Trin, who wanted us to do Vampire Hunter D and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. So we are going to do that. So let's talk about Vampire Hunter D, because I feel like Vampire Hunter D is one of the most underrated things in anime, manga, books, period, because as I was trying to do research for this, there is not a lot of information out there. At all. I could not find much about the actual author of Vampire Hunter D, Hideyuki Kikuchi. God, I'm terrible at Japanese names.
I don't know what word you just said.
He
Stop swearing at me.
he is the man behind the novels, which they were novels first. Because I see this a lot where people are going, think that the anime was first, or they think the manga was first, which is really weird because the manga is the last thing. So I don't know where people are getting their information. But
Really? It was
literally,
novel, anime, manga?
Yeah, it was novels, anime, manga.
Really? So the manga didn't get made until after Bloodlust?
Correct. The manga didn't...
Which came out in 2000?
Correct.
Jesus, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
And then after manga, there's the comic book. And then after the comic book, there's an anime series that I can literally find no new information on. In the past 2 years, there has been no updates.
Crazy.
So I don't know what's happening with that series. But, so he originally started these novels in 1983, and they were illustrated by Yoshitaka Amano, who, if you're a Final Fantasy fan, you should know who that is, because he did a lot of the artwork for the like original run of good Final Fantasy games. So there are 26 novels, as far as I can remember, 26. For me, I've read the first 3 novels, even though I have like the first 5, and then I have like books 12, 16, and like 18. But I haven't gotten that far yet, so I don't have to worry about that. There are 7 volumes of the manga released in America. The 8th one only came out in Japan and France.
That's weird.
Yeah, and then apparently the manga is not going to continue. I can't figure out why. I read some rumors saying that the illustrator was injured and can no longer draw, and if that's the case, that's really sad, because the artwork for the manga is fantastic. It looks fucking awesome. But I will say this, if you have not...
Is it similar to the anime series? I haven't seen any of the artwork.
Style-wise? No, it's closer to the original artwork by Amano.
Okay, that's cool. I'm just curious.
But I will say this, if you're reading the manga and you feel lost as shit, it's okay, because I've read the first 3 books in the manga series, and the only reason I knew what the fuck was going on is because I've read the first 3 novels. While the manga is very beautiful to look at, it is hectic as shit. I had a really hard time keeping up with it. So, with that being said, we're going to get into the first Vampire Hunter D movie. That was directed by Toyu Ishida. Screenplay by Yasushi Hirono. God, I'm terrible. And it's based off the first book in the Vampire Hunter D book series, which is that Razor by Gales? Now I can't remember.
Fuck if I know.
Razor of Gales is volume 2.
Okay, I think the first one was just called Vampire Hunter D, and volume 2 is Razor of Gales. Yeah, the first one's just Vampire Hunter D.
I'm on Amazon.
Oh, okay, there you go. And the basic gist of the first movie is... Okay, something that happens in the very beginning of this movie is a little still image that tells you in the near future the world is ruled by like monsters and vampire stuff. The one thing they don't tell you is in the novels, the reason the world is like this is because there was World War III and we basically nuked all of ourselves to fucking death. And then vampires rose up and became the nobility because they had technology, but then for some reason they just all started dying the fuck off. And it's not really explained why. And in the books, it like you find little bits and pieces, but even then it's not really explained. Like in the second book, they talk about how vampires have a dark gene and humans have a light gene.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and it talks about like, because vampires were trying to figure out how to deal with their weaknesses. You know, like how come we're so powerful, but we can be stabbed in the fucking heart by a piece of wood and we die? That makes no sense. How come we can't cross moving water? Why do we hate garlics and Italians? Like, so it's cool because it goes through all that, but if you watch the Vampire D anime, it's this whole, like, old future set. Like, it's Western, but cyberpunk, kind of. It's like
the Book of Eli.
Yeah, it's cyber Western. It's like if Clint Eastwood met Blade Runner kind of deal.
I do like the robot horses.
Yeah, well, they're not even... They're technically cyborgs.
What?
Yeah, those are cyborg horses. They actually are still part horse.
That's weird. I thought they were just straight up robot horses.
No, actually, if you pay attention to the animes, you will see them drink water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you know, people program weird shit for robots to do. I don't know.
They were just
I just assumed they were like robot horses.
You know, this robot horse creeps me the fuck out. I'd be real...
Or continuity error, you know? I don't know.
I'd be real more chill about this fucking fake robot horse if it pretended to drink water.
It actually says it in the first movie that they're cyborgs.
Well,
Yeah. So
I missed that.
So this first movie deals with a young lady named Doris Lang who gets bitten by a noble, Count Magnus Lee, who is named Magnus Lee as an ode to Christopher Lee. Because Christopher Lee was, of course, Dracula in the Hammer films. And that is perfect because this anime has always felt like a Japanese version of a Hammer horror movie to me. Like this
I concur.
Like the look of it is just fantastic, and one of the things I really like about it is its use of religious symbols, but you don't hear anyone ever really talk about like Jesus or God. Like Bibles and crosses are there, but they're never really like used in a religious connotation, which I always thought was kind of weird. Because you don't even really see like churches or anything. It's very strange.
Well, isn't there one where they use a cross?
Yeah, I know. I said they use crosses. They have crosses everywhere. They have, in the beginning of the movie, the werewolf like destroys bunches of cross. He rips a cross off of Doris. But like I was saying, they use crosses in Bibles, yet they never really talk about a God or Jesus or...
They don't do the preaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So Doris Lane is basically chosen by a noble to be his wife because, like Jay said, they get really fucking bored and they need a night where they don't have boredom. So she ends up meeting up.
I would prefer several.
He's gonna get several. Well, spoilers.
He's definitely
No, he's
getting
not.
penetrated.
That's true. So, and she meets up with D, who is a half vampire, half human, or a Dampier. If you would like. What?
In the second one, they give it a completely,
I'll
not a completely different name.
I'll get to that. That's a mistranslation that they've admitted they fucked up on.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, in Bloodlust, they call him a Dunpeel. It's a mistranslation.
It just sounds like a terrible fruit.
And here's the thing. I don't understand how they made that fuck up. The director was literally there, and English was the first language. English was the first language recorded for that fucking movie.
I don't know how you fuck it up when you have the first movie as a reference.
I don't need...
Like did you not watch the first movie?
Yeah, it makes no fucking sense that one, the director's there. Two, like Jay said, they had the previous movie. Three, the director was fucking there. He was a Japanese director. He's worked with the original author of Vampire Hunter D multiple times. He's the one. He also directed Wicked City. I'm talking about the director of Bloodlust, not the director of this first movie. He directed Wicked City and Ninja Scroll.
Oh god, I fucking love Ninja Scroll so much.
Yeah. So, and then on top of that, like literally in a very rare instance, English was the first language recorded for that movie. Japanese was done second. So how do you fuck that up?
Well, at least it started with a D.
That's true. So this first movie involves the introduction of D and him taking on Count Magnus Lee to save Doris Lang. Now, there are 2 English dubs to this movie. The original dub, also called the Streamline dub, is the one you got if you bought the Urban Vision VHS or the Urban Vision DVD. When they put it to Blu-ray, Sentai Works put out a new dub that fixed some of the language, made it closer to the book, and in their opinion, made it sound more professional. Now, to me, I prefer the original dub.
So I need a question about this. So did they completely re-record everything?
Yes.
Or did they just...
Everyone.
So was the voice actors the same?
No original voice actors. All different.
Okay. Because, so I bought the Blu-ray of the first movie a while ago, and when I first watched it, I was like, Is there a different voice actor for the hand? Because I completely remember the
Yes.
hand sounding differently. And I thought I can't remember if I asked you that question or somebody else, but I thought I asked that question. And they're like, nope, same thing. But he said, I just remember him sounding completely different from what I remember him being. Granted, I hadn't watched the movie in years, but I was like, this person sounds way different than.
Yes, all completely new people, and it's a trade-off. I love the Blu-ray.
Dee sounded super similar, and the girl sounded how I remember sounding, but the hand sounded completely different.
Doris Lane sounds completely different.
I'm just going by memory.
Yeah,
like it
Dee,
didn't trigger until the hand started talking. Does the hand have a name?
Dee sounds the same, but the problem with that is Dee is one of those characters that literally, if you do it a certain way, like if it was Batman, anybody can do it. Like, as long as you have...
You tell that to Christian Bale.
Anyone can play... I'm sorry, anyone can play Batman. It literally is not hard to play the Batman.
I was talking about the voice.
And I also think almost anyone can play Bruce Wayne. Like, it's one of those things where, like, if you can do, like, this kind of quiet, solemn, like, low voice, you can play Dee. It's just... Because there's 3 different people who have played Dee, and all 3 of them sound pretty similar. So, where you really notice the voice changes are in people like Greco, where in the original he has this really cool voice, but in the new dub, he just sounds like a weird fucking cowboy. But the worst voice change ever is Count Magnus Lee's daughter, Lamarica. God, I can't say her fucking name.
Yeah, I did not like her at all.
Larmika. Her voice change is fucking awful. I love her first voice, the original dub voice, because it's kind of that raspy voice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it's so good.
Super hot.
There is no voice. There's some voices in the new dub I think are okay. Doris is okay. Ray Ginson is okay, but just Magnus Lee is worse. Dan's worse.
Do you got a digital copy of the original dub?
Yeah, last time I was at your house, it was on that hard drive. I told you to copy it. I'm pretty sure you did.
Did I?
You might want to check. But yeah, that it's very. There's a lot of different voice changes, but here I will say this: the trade-off of having the new dub is worth it, just because holy shit, that Blu-ray looks beautiful.
Oh god, the transfer is gorgeous. Absolutely, both of them are.
Like, and it works. I mean, because even if you watch like the old Urban Vision VHS, it's still a good looking anime. Like, it is good looking for its time.
So the first time I watched Vampire Hunter D, I rented it, and I'm pretty sure I rented it on DVD, but I'm not positive.
You probably did. It was the Urban Vision DVD.
But I hadn't watched it again until I bought the Blu-ray. But like I said, the only voice that stood out to me as being crazy different was that I was like, the hand doesn't sound how I remember. But with it being so long, it's very possible that the rest of them are.
Yeah. So when this movie starts, y'all know that opening theme it has?
Mm-hmm.
What movie does that sound like? I keep wanting to say it sounds like the opening of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I'd have to listen to it again.
Yeah, I would too.
But like,
if you cue it up and play it, I can tell you.
I don't have that ability right now. But to me, it sounds like it reminds me of A Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm not 100% sure, so someone will have to let us know. So let's get into this. Let's get into some of the things we really just love about the first Vampire Hunter D. One thing I want to get into is the fact that I love this mixture of old future. I love like Doris's whip when she goes to like meet Dee for the first time and she like swings it at him and it busts into like 5 different whips. And grabs him on the neck and the fucking wrist. Okay, I don't know what that was.
That was the Castlevania theme song
Oh,
One of them.
Yeah, that was definitely worth interrupting what I was saying.
I was background music. It wasn't interrupting. I'm sorry.
Well, it's going to be hard for them to understand what I'm saying if you're trying to kill Dracula with tones in an 8-bit style.
I'm going to go sit in the corner.
No one puts baby in the corner.
I'm sorry. I apologize, audience. I apologize, Jerry.
But yeah, I like this. I love that, like, the fact that they live on a broken down farm, but yet they have like force fields for their fence and they shoot laser guns. But yet here comes D and he's using a gigantic ass sword. Like,
I love D's sword.
Oh man, I love D's sword so much.
I want D.
Top 3 fantasy swords. Definitely.
It's actually based off a real sword. I just can't remember what the name of it was.
But it's not a real sword. So it's still top 3 fantasy swords.
Fair enough. But yeah, I love what I call the old future aesthetic. Jay, what's something you really like about Vampire Hunter D?
That is one of them. I love the world building that the movie does without too much exposition. You get that little opening narration, and then the rest of it is just shown through visuals, and I love it. I love that they've created this. I don't even know what to call it. Like you said, old future world where there's like horse and buggies, but also laser guns and laser fences and electronics, but also lanterns and magic and vampires and wolves and weird ass mutant creatures and reality bending warriors, and vampires are just like plain and commonplace, and so are werewolves. It's just like, it's so cool the way they did it. The animation is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't know, everything. The whole thing is good.
All
the
right.
Story, and I already said the animation. It's fantastic. The gore, oh god, so much gore. I love it.
Kenneth, what's something you really dig about Vampire Hunter D?
What's the main girl's name? The blonde chick?
Doris.
I can't remember. Doris. I love how abnormally large her forehead is.
You know what? I want to bring up a point that really pisses me off. When you're watching it, when she confronts D, there is this front view of her where she has like this really big forehead, and it just looks horrible, and she never looks like that again. Like, she looks like she looks like a fucking Jason Mongoloid version of herself. Like, next time you watch it and it's her confronting D, they do this shot of like her face and her forehead's really big and she looks just awful. But like everywhere else in the movie, she looks perfectly fine. It's just always really fucking bothered me. And
I don't
also
think she just looks perfectly fine everywhere. I still think she's got that abnormally large forehead everywhere.
she does, but so does fucking Larmika.
I mean, exactly.
does.
There you go. There's another one too. You know, I didn't even think about Larmika's forehead. Yeah, I mean, even when she's standing there, you know, all moist over D with her titty hanging out, she still's got that large ass forehead.
That's true, but you know what? You see that in a lot of animes, because like even like Dragon Ball Z, you've got Android 18, who literally the 18 is how many inches her forehead is.
Right? I completely agree.
Like, it's fucking just huge. There was something I was gonna bring up. The fan service in this movie, I don't understand. I don't understand I understand fan service. I don't see the appealing side of fan service when it's like just really standard, boring ass cotton panties. Like, it's just white cotton panties, nothing else.
Oh.
And who the fuck? What's her skirt? Her dress, her skirt, where the fuck is literally not long enough to cover. Her vagina is out the entire movie. Like, she's in town, like,
Yeah,
and Greco's trying to fucking make a move on her, and she's pushing away, and he's just, and like, her vagina is like out. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not doing the whole, oh, she deserved it because the way she dressed. I'm just saying, like, why? Like, this is, like, why? There is no reason to be wearing she looks like those chicks that wear oversized shirts to sleep in. That's what it looks like.
Like Tina from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, like Tina from Nightmare on Elm Street. Fucking exactly. Like, I just don't get it. So let's go into this movie. In this movie, there is some fucking fantastic monsters. You've got Ray Ginsei, who's the main guy. He's the one that's always kind of there with Lamrica, whatever her fucking name is. He's the one that throws the blades, and he also has this ability that if he can basically do
reality warping.
Yeah, reality warp. Like, D stabs him, and he actually makes it to where the sword actually goes into D and comes out of his back. And it's awesome. You have, and in the book, he's actually the leader of the group that has the green frog-looking guy who can open his back up to shoot spiders at you.
That kind of reminded me of one of the guys from Ninja Scroll.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think the Vampire Hunter D novel was around before Ninja Scroll. I know Ninja Scroll is an anime, I think was after Vampire Hunter D. The first Vampire Hunter
they're
D.
cousins.
They might be related, because you know what? Also, the Golem guy in this movie, there's a guy like that in Ninja Scroll.
Talking about the guy with the giant sword that tries to rape the chick with poison skin?
Yes. They're very similar in design. You also have the guy in Vampire Hunter D who looks like he looks like a Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but he gets taken out super quick, doesn't he?
No, I made that mistake at first. He technically fights D and just kind of gets thrown to the side, but he comes back. He actually gets killed by Ray Ginsei when D leaves the castle the first time with Doris.
Oh, because he failed.
No. Rin Ginsei ran out there and threw his blade because he heard a noise, but the noise he heard was
he thought he hit D in the tree and he didn't.
Yep, killed his buddy. And then talking about what Jay was talking about, how they have a world building thing in here. It's awesome that they bring up like an artifact like the time bewitching candle.
Yeah.
Which Greco fucking switches out on Ginsei, and Ginsei loses his fucking hand for it. It's like that happens in the book also. I will say this: the movie and the book are like 90% together.
That's awesome.
There's not. It's unlike Bloodlust. Bloodlust I'll bring up some major differences, but for this one, it is pretty much spot on. And if you like Hammer horror, this is one you have to check out, because one, D is a fucking awesome character. Learning about him, and the big thing is everyone kind of beats around the bush that his father is possibly Dracula. Who is?
I don't think it's possibly. I think it's pretty darn sure.
I thought it was pretty straightforward.
It's never outright said in either one of the animes where it's confirmed.
But I mean,
and in the book, they always have a joke thing going on where someone will get close to saying it, but then it's never said. Like, it'll be like, "Are you related to Hey, what's going on over here?" Like, it's a joke that happens in the book a lot.
I just don't see, with the level of power that he has.
Oh, he is most definitely the son of Dracula. It's always kind of beat around the bush in the anime, the manga, the books. And it's kind of a fun joke.
That's fair. But he definitely is.
Hey, I'm with you. There's no way that he is not Dracula. He's not Dracula's son.
Alucard.
Yeah, but I will say this: I like D better than Alucard. If we're talking Alucard from like Symphony of the Night, I'm going with D.
Yeah, I like D as a character better. I mean, Alucard's pretty badass, but
yeah.
Of course, my opinion might change when we get season 2 of the Castlevania anime. They might do some, interesting stuff with this character in that. We'll see.
Yeah, but if the Vampire Hunter D series comes out, then you'll have to change back.
Well, that's fine.
I don't think that series is ever coming out. Which sucks, because the director of Bloodlust is attached to it. So it would be fucking amazing if it came out. So, wait, Kenneth, did you say you haven't watched the Castlevania anime series yet?
That's what I said.
It's only like 5 episodes long.
Yeah, you need to get on that shit. That shit's fucking golden. It is definitely.
I've been rather preoccupied lately.
Fair enough. So Vampire Hunter D is like a horror, sci-fi, fantasy adventure. It takes elements of sci-fi, it takes like the adventure you feel in a fantasy movie, and puts it in this world of horror, which it's always building. One thing I love about it, it feels so lived in. Like, for instance, when D falls, he falls in the castle, he falls down this giant hole, and they walk down there, and his hand, which we haven't gotten to yet, so we'll have to get to that here in a second, is like, this looks like a previous war ground. There's skeletons everywhere, and he steps on like a railroad that like turns to dust as he steps on it, and then he's met by these fucking Medusa snake ladies, who then start like sucking him. If you've watched Dragon Ball Z, if you remember the snake lady on Snake Road, it's basically related to her. Much like she wanted to suck Goku, these snake ladies want to suck D.
If I was in that position, the only thing that I would ask is I choose what part of my body that they suck.
I think I would be like, you can't be snakes. Like, go back to the blue skin
naked sirens.
Yeah, like, I need at least titties. You can't be just snaking me. All right, I'm not down with snake.
I agree with Jerry. If I got to go out that way, at least I might as well enjoy some of it.
Yeah, and there's 3 of them. They can get on each part of it. It would be fantastic. But nonetheless, with Vampire Hunter D, it tackles 2 things. Oh wait, no, we gotta talk about his hand. His hand has a face on it. It is a parasite. Much like a very popular manga anime called Parasite that has been making the rounds, it kind of uses the same kind of idea, except it's a very symbiotic. The parasite is actually D and the parasite work well together. I've never actually heard what its name is. I can't remember it saying in the 3 books. I don't remember it being said in either one of the animes, and it definitely wasn't said in the 3 mangas that I've read.
Rosie.
I don't feel like he's a Rosie. But he's kind of like a sarcastic comic relief.
All right. Imagine the things that I could accomplish if I had a mouth in my hand.
Would you want it to be like the mouth? Would you want it to be the Vampire Hunter D one or the Bloodlust one? Because the Bloodlust one has only like 3 teeth, but the regular Vampire D one has a full row of teeth.
That actually brings up a question. How much time is there between D and Bloodlust?
I'm really
story-wise, probably not a lot.
I know there's only 1 story between them, but I'm not really 100% sure. I'm sure someone's probably actually, no one's probably marked it out, because I could find jack shit for fucking research out there for Vampire Hunter D. Even like the Vampire Hunter D wiki is kind of sparse.
The reason why I'm asking is because you think about that very thing that you just said, the full mouth of teeth, and then the few missing. That means that he probably ate a shit ton of dirt.
It's probably an artistic choice, I would think.
Make him look like an old man.
Because in the manga, the manga, each volume is an exact telling of the novel, of whichever novel it falls into. So the 3rd manga is Demon Death Chase, which is Bloodlust, and in the manga, it has the full set of teeth. So I'm pretty sure it was just an artistic choice for that movie.
But yeah, the toothless one, to answer your question.
Yeah, trying to get those gummers.
Okay, so according to the fandom wiki, its name is just Left Hand, also known as Lefty, Parasite, and then a word I can't pronounce. It's Count is the first part, and then it's Count Enanced. Count tennis. I don't know how to say that word.
Fair enough.
Send it to me.
Counted. So it's that word and then carbuncle at the end. So Countinsend. I don't know. Countenance and Carbuncle is is the other names that it's known by.
Wow.
I don't know how to say that word.
I'm curious of how he acquired it.
That's what I'd like to know.
That's why I want to continue reading the books, because I love the world of Vampire Hunter D. And the two animes are great introductions to it. But I want to know, why did the nobility fall? Why are, like, there are very few of them? Why are there, like, mutants taking it? Well, I mean, in the book, they kind of explain that the mutants are there because of the nuclear fallout transformed some of them. But it's not like it's in Trigun, where, like, Trigun, you know, the reason everyone lives in, like, fucking cottages, but they have, like, steam engines and shit, is because they crash landed on a planet that fucking was just dirt. So they have very little technology, because they're using whatever little technology they could raise from the few fallen ships. But here, it's literally the world basically died after World War III, and vampires took over for like 10,000 years. And now, over the past 5,000 years, the vampires have started dwindling. So I want to know way more. There's a decent, I can't remember how many novels we have in America, but Dark Horse is still releasing them, so I think we have hit, like, in the early 20s.
Of Vampire Hunter D novels?
Yeah, because there's 26 in all in Japan, I think. There's a lot. Like,
you can get a bunch of them on Amazon.
Yo, yeah, they're pretty widely available, and they're pretty fucking cheap. I actually literally just bought, like, volume 19 the other day at this place called Ollie's for like $2. Like, you can find them relatively cheap no matter where you look, and they're pretty good reads. I will say this though, they don't try to Americanize it, so some of it while reading it, you may have to stop and reread it a second time, especially in, like, the fight scenes. It's very weird. I will say the Vampire D novels are kind of weird to read. But there's no audiobook, so you have to read them if you want to be involved in it.
Oh, reading.
Yeah, it's weird.
I like reading. I just don't, with everything I'm into, I don't have time to sit down and just read a book. I know it sounds weird. Like, I like playing video games. I do this podcast. I like to watch movies. I just don't have any free time to dedicate to fucking reading.
I keep telling myself I need to, like, cut and every night have, like, 30 minutes to an hour of just reading right before bed.
So that's why I've been using audiobooks, is because right before, instead of watching an extra half-hour TV before I decide it's time to sleep, I just turn the TV off and turn on an audiobook and set a sleep timer for a half hour. And so I got through the Meg that way. That's how I listened to the Meg. It was awesome.
That Kenneth is the king of audiobooks. That motherfucker's listened to, like, the It audiobook like 3 times.
Well, I just downloaded Pet Sematary as my next one.
Yeah, it's because they're advertising the shit out of it online.
Well, I've never read or listened to a Stephen King book before, and so I really like the Pet Sematary movie. It's one of my favorite Stephen King based movies, so I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, well, when you decide to go through it, make sure that you've got like fucking 50 hours to dedicate to it.
I don't know if I'll do that one. I don't know if I care about it that much.
It's really good.
I was reading it, but then I just stopped reading it, and there was no real reason for it, because it is pretty good. But I just stopped reading it. Like, I've read like half of The Stand, but I have read all of Pet Sematary, Salem's Lot, Eyes of the Dragon. Too. The Stand I stopped because I just got bored. Halfway through it, I was just like, I was fucking bored. But anyway, back to Vampire Hunter D. His hand can pretty much, like, has tons of superpowers. It can suck in everything.
It's Kirby.
Basically, yes. It has the ability to, like, heal wounds. He, at one point when D gets stabbed in the heart, the hand gets cut off and the hand crawls back it reattaches itself, eats a bunch of dirt, and then puts it in there. Now, in the book, they describe that a little bit better, and it's actually, it can heal it by using the elements, so it has to get, like, the main elements. It has to have the dirt for earth. It sucks in the air to get the moisture and to get air, so it has water and air. And then, like, I forgot how it did the fire, but there was a fire part to it also. And that's how it heals. It has all these special powers. That
makes sense.
Yeah. So, with Vampire Hunter D, I will say this. If there's one thing I don't like about it, and this actually goes for Bloodlust too, a lot of the fight scenes are over very quick. Like, they are not long and drawn out. They get over with pretty fucking quick. It is usually D winning with very few moves. Like,
that's because he's so fucking badass.
Yeah, even with the end, like when he, and it's kind of funny because in the book they expand on this, but when he goes to like stab Magnus Lee, and Magnus Lee catches it with his hands, catches the sword with his hands. Magnus Lee later does that to D, and D catches it with his hands, and that's how Magnus Lee figures out that he's the son of Dracula, because he had to beg Dracula to learn that move, to be taught that move. And because of that, that's how he knows that this is the son of Dracula.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I guess catching a sword with your hand is a very rare technique in the world of vampirism. I guess. That never really made sense to me.
Brandon Lee caught a flying knife.
Yeah, he also caught a bullet.
True. Tragic. Well, technically pieces of tragic.
True. But that's one thing. The fights are always kind of on, like, everything happens very quickly. Like, pacing wise for Vampire D, it's very well because everything happens very fast and keeps everything moving. But if you're going in for fight scenes, you're not going to be satisfied. Does anyone have anything that they don't like about the first Vampire D movie?
Don't like about it?
Yeah, there's
no. I thought
can't stand his outfit.
D's outfit?
When the cape flies back and you see what's underneath it, he looks like he's wearing gray pajamas. He looks like he's wearing gray footy pajamas.
Huh, I've never paid attention to that. I'm going to have to look at that next time I watch the movie.
I'm telling you, man, he looks like a kid in gray footy pajamas put on damn knee pads and shoulder pads. I mean, knee pads and elbow pads to go out skateboarding.
Fair enough.
And I'm not joking. I am being 100% legit. I fucking hate it. He looks so badass until you see the cape fly up and you're like, man, what? And then they fixed it in the second one.
I like how he can use his cape to catch on. There's that part right before he falls down the hole where he uses his cape to catch onto the fucking ledge.
Yeah, see, that's something that pissed me off about the second. Hello?
There you are.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm still here.
Okay, I thought that was mine for a second.
Repeat what you said when you said, that's one thing that pissed me off about the second one.
Oh, is that he didn't use his cape for... like he did in the first one.
Gotcha. Yes, he did not. I will say this: the first Vampire Hunter D movie, I love. It's one of my favorite animes to watch. There's not a lot of substance to it. There's not that much to really say. Like, there's so much more to say about Bloodlust than there is about the original. So we're going to end this talk about the first Vampire Hunter D with a single question. Do you think the boredom that you will eventually get as a vampire, which seems to plague a lot of these vampires, is worth the trade-off of living forever?
Absolutely.
Jay?
No. I don't want to live forever. I don't want to outlive all the people I love, and I don't want to have to hunt down new loved ones every time they die because I outlive them.
You can turn them into vampires and then you just have them forever.
No.
Of course, then you have to deal with the fact that you're killing people. Though, I will say this, as we get into Bloodlust, we actually do come across a vampire who does not kill people, which is very interesting. So,
I'm totally down.
with Vampire D, this is a movie that I really just recommend. Just sit back and watch and enjoy, because it's just a fun ride. The pacing is very good. It moves along very, very fast, and it's enjoyable, especially if you like old monster movies and stuff like that. Growing up, I loved anything that involved a bunch of monsters. If you like something like Nightbreed and you liked all the monsters in Midian, then check out Vampire Hunter D, because you'll get to see a bunch more that are really cool. So with that being said, please check out Vampire Hunter D. If you can find the original dub, watch it. If you need the original dub, hit me up. Maybe I'll post it in the group. But if you do get the Blu-ray, it's worth the trade-off for how amazing the transfer looks. But I will say this. How come we didn't get a single fucking... Like, the special features on it are literally just trailers.
Yeah, that's true.
Like...
Well, I got something to ask you, Jerry, before we go forward.
Okay.
The same question that you left off with, because you didn't answer it.
The trade... For me, it's... I feel like the boredom would eventually get to me, and I probably would end up like being like, fuck it, I'm gonna take a walk into the sunlight. Like, so I don't know if the trade-off... I feel like at first the trade-off would be fantastic, but later on it would hurt really bad. But I think the experience would be worth it, so I'm actually going to side with you, Kenneth.
Good man. We can do it together, sir.
Yeah, then why have killed the cast forever?
Well, if you guys are doing it, then I'll do it too.
Because I'm telling you, I mean, I've thought about this very question many, many times throughout my life, and if I had the choice for eternal life, I would totally take it.
I will say this, when it comes to vampires, I'm actually not a fan of vampires, but I am a big fan of vampire hunters, which is explained by my love of Vampire Hunter D and Castlevania. So with that being said...
Blade?
I like Blade. He's okay.
Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
I watched Blade not that long ago. I watched my Blu-ray on my 4K player, and man, it looked fucking beautiful.
We should
Holy
do Blade.
Shit, that upscale was great. I'd be down. I would do Blade. I'd make him wear a condom first, but I'd watch it. I mean,
or you could just, pull a Wesley Snipes like you did in Blade Trinity and just sit in your fucking trailer and smoke weed all day.
That's true. So that was Vampire Hunter D. Now we're gonna get into Bloodlust, which is, while I like the first Vampire Hunter D movie more, and part of that's nostalgia, Bloodlust is a better movie with a better story,
better animation,
but better animation that will knock your fucking socks off. Holy shit, does this animation look fucking beautiful. It came out in 2000, and it was directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, who of course did Ninja Scroll and Wicked City, which I love. And is based off the third novel in the series, Demon Death Chase. Now, this movie is about the Elborn family hires not only D, but the Marcus clan to go after a vampire named Meyer Link, who has, I'm doing the finger air quotes right now, kidnapped his daughter, Charlotte, and to get him back. But it turns out that Charlotte is actually in love with Meyer Link and chose to go with Meyer Link herself, and that's part of the dilemma that everyone faces in this movie is, if she chose to go on her own free will, is it okay for her to go, or is it like Dee says earlier in the movie, you don't know who Meyer Link is? Now, this movie does everything the first one did, but better. You get more monsters with getting to go inside the Barbarossi? Was it Barbarossi?
I'm bad with names. You know that.
I am too. Why they always gotta have complicated names? Why can't it, like, why does the town gotta be called Barbarossa? Why can't it just be, oh yeah, that's fucking the town called Chad? Like,
The Barbaroy.
Barbaroy. That's what, thank you. I'm terrible with these names. You get to see tons of monsters in there. Much like how we had, like, 4 main monsters in the first one that kind of fight, you get another 4 in here. So let's go through some of the characters real quick. We've got, of course, D, and we have the vampire in this one, Meyer Link. Meyer Link is interesting because in the novel, he is known as one of the only vampires of the nobility that is actually loved and praised by the humans that he rules over. He does not kill humans, and he tries his best to never drink human blood.
He's not a dick.
He is not a dick. And in the movie, they do kind of, they touch on that a few times. You've got Charlotte Elborn, who is the chick that gets kidnapped. And fun fact, in the book, she doesn't have a name. She's just a girl. Which is always good. You have the Marcus clan with the leader Borgoff, who is Kenneth's favorite because he uses arrows. In the book, though, he actually does use a bow and arrow, not a crossbow.
That's the only thing I really don't care for about him. Even though I think it's really badass that he basically can automatic fucking weapon these goddamn arrows. But that's the only thing I don't like about him is if you look at it, the crossbow on the arm. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, in the book and the manga, he actually uses bow and arrow, and he shoots off like 3 arrows at a time.
Nice.
Kind of shit. You've got Nolt Marcus, who's the guy that has the big cross on his face and uses a big hammer. You've got Kyle Marcus, who uses like a cross shuriken thing, kind of like Yuffie from Final Fantasy VII. You've got Grove Marcus, who's the fragile guy who can use this spirit ability once he shoots up. Remember, kids, shoot up and you can save the day. And then you've got Layla Marcus, who is the female in the tight-ass red jumpsuit who rides around in a motorcycle and has a badass gun and is voiced by Pamela Alden, who I love from Californication. But oddly enough,
wouldn't it be more like a motorized unicycle?
Yeah, I guess it would be. You're right.
It's still a cycle that has a motor, so
that's true. But yeah, well, oddly enough, this Blu-ray actually does have some special features. One of them is the behind the scenes, and I watched it because I wanted to see Pamela voice Layla, and she's not in it, and it kind of pissed me off.
Ah, womp womp womp.
Because I love her so much. Oh fuck! I just burped and it tasted horrible. Oh. So, Meyer Link has some people that work for him. You've got Mashira, who's the werewolf who basically his stomach becomes a fucking giant wolf's mouth.
I fucking love that werewolf design.
I was really weirded out when I read the novel and the manga because he's not a wolf in there. He is actually a thing that's the same parasite as Dee's hand, and he actually like swaps bodies throughout the book, and he eventually dies by getting swallowed up by Dee's hand.
Huh, that's badass.
Yeah, you've got Benji, who's the black coat. It reminded me of that one of the angels in Neon Genesis Evangelion that just like would open up into this big black fucking disc hole and just swallow shit.
God, it's been so long since I watched that.
Yeah, but Benji's really cool because he basically can go into the shadows and he can use like basically set traps with strings. It's pretty badass. And then you've got Caroline, who I feel like they did a bad job explaining what her ability is in the movie, but in the book she can basically anything she partakes, like if she takes a blood of something, she can then control. Like for instance, there's a fight in like this big graveyard where she basically sucks off a spine and then uses that to make a gigantic corpse hand.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And in the book, in the only part they really use, like in the book, she takes in like some trees so that she can like do all the tree limbs that they show in the movie. And that's pretty cool. And then we've got Carmilla, who is this blood queen, who is not in the book at all. She's completely added for the movie, which works out because the book kind of like just ends on a kind of mediocre note. Basically take out Carmilla and still have it where the vampire Meyerlink, he dies. It's Romeo and Juliet. He dies by getting stabbed by before Marshira, the thing that's like Dee's hand, gets swallowed up by Dee's hand. He takes over Borgoff's body after Borgoff gets killed by Meyerlink. And then he uses Borgoff, and he comes in as Dee is like, all right, I'm done fighting. I stabbed him in the shoulder instead of the heart, so Meyerlink's going to live. He comes in and just shoots his bow and arrows and kills Meyerlink. And then Grove comes in and blows up fucking Borgoff. So then Dee sucks him up through his hand. And then Charlotte decides to take Meyerlink's old claw hand and just shove it through her own chest so she can die with him.
Oh,
because
fun.
Yeah, because when they show up to the basically Vampire Space Central where all the spaceships would be, but they're all broken down and everything fell apart, so they couldn't have gone into space anyway.
That's a difference.
Yeah, the other big difference is in the book, Layla is actually raped multiple times by her brothers.
Oh, fun! Wish that was in the movie.
Yeah, her brothers are not as nice to her. Even Grove is real creepy. Well, he'll grab her and be like, "You belong to us." But like, there's a scene like when Grove first goes into the Barbarossi. While Grove is in, God damn it, yes, you're right, Barbaroid. While Grove is in there fighting Barbaroid, Kyle is fucking Layla.
Sweet.
Yeah. But it is rape. Don't get it twisted. She does not enjoy it, but she does sit there and take it. So those are the big differences from the book to the anime. So let's just get clearly into this anime with, if you want to see the pinnacle of what hand-drawn anime looked like before they started using CGI, or not CGI, but CG, this is the fucking tops. To me, there is no other, I've not seen another anime that looks as beautiful as this that was doing hand-drawn anime.
It's very good. I mean, when it really comes down to it, between the two of them, I prefer this one just because of everything about it. The animation is fucking superb. It looks so gorgeous, and the crazy thing about it is like the continuous shots that they do with everything that's involved for it to be animated. I mean, it looks like real deal camera pans.
Yes, there are scenes that are just fucking gorgeous. You have this scene where they're on a bridge. The Marcus brothers have basically, they blew up part of the bridge to stop the carriage. They throw Mashira off the fucking bridge, and they have Charlotte, and Meyerlink comes out, and as he's walking, these flames just start licking off of him as he's burning in the sun. Mm-hmm. It is just gorgeous.
Yeah, I like the one where...
you know what scene... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What's his name? Genji or Benji? What's his name? The shadow guy?
Oh, yeah, Benji.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the animation for him coming in and out of the shadows. And then that very last spot right where he gets killed. I really enjoyed that. Because it looked really cool seeing him kind of swimming through the shadows, and then when he disappeared and came back up, and then dude got him with the blades. I thought that was fucking great.
I agree. That fucking shot was wonderful. Jay, what were you gonna say?
You know what I really like, and it's kind of simple, and it may not have stood out for everybody else, but I really like when he's crossing the desert of old freeways, and those like sand mantis things are flying around in the background.
Yeah, that's really
Fun
cool.
fact, those actually evolved from the one that gained enough power killing Steve Irwin that they could no longer be held by the ocean.
That makes sense.
Even
Yeah,
though that
just
happened
that
well
whole
before his
scene,
death.
like, so everything else, for a couple reasons. Not only is the animation gorgeous and the monsters are cool and it's just cool looking, but up until that point, we had only seen what they had rebuilt from it. This is the first time we've seen remnants of what the world used to be, and so I thought that was pretty cool that they have that in there.
Yes, I love this one definitely shows more of the apocalyptic setting, post-apocalyptic setting, because the first one's kind of you're in one town and you're in that one town, but in this one they actually have to travel. So we get multiple different scenes, and we also get to see like some of the technology that the vampires had. For instance, Meyer Link is hiding out in basically a invisible cube that's just basically like reflective mirroring on the end of it. And as D comes up to it, he has to flick like rocks because it's got a laser attack system that will shoot anything that moves. And it's just like, holy shit. Because that's one thing that you have in the book a lot, is that a lot of the old technology that is still around is only around because of the nobles. They still had that technology. That's why they were on top. And a lot of things we have are from that. So, another beautiful fucking... Also, another difference in the book between this... In the book, the Marcus clan are actively trying to kill D. They have a reputation that anyone who got hired to do the same job they did, they killed that person on top of making sure they did the job. So they're fucking dicks in the book. Like,
Sounds about
actively
right.
dicks. Like, in fact, in the book, Borgoff is actually the one that kills Kyle because Kyle gets transformed by Caroline. Because Caroline, in the book, is a Dampier, it seems, is what they were trying to say. She was basically a Dampier she was a child. She was definitely a child of a vampire and someone that lived in a vampire castle, but it's not. I think it was pointing to it wasn't a human, it was some kind of other mutant. It's very there's a lot of things in the book they just don't really explain well enough, which is a problem, but it also works very well with the mystery of everything, trying to figure out everything. Because that's one thing while watching the movies is you want to know so much about everything that's fucking going on. Especially when you get to the end of Bloodlust and you're like, there's a fucking spaceship? Like, I thought the travel to the stars thing was like a metaphor or something. And it's no.
They referenced the vampires as aliens in the first one.
They do, but I almost felt like they were trying to, like, how we call, like, foreigners aliens. Like, they were saying, you're a foreigner to humankind, you're an alien to humankind. That's how I took it as when I was younger. And then when Bloodlust happened and they actually showed that, I was like, holy fuck. There's a goddamn spaceship here.
I took the alien thing from the first one literally, so that's the reason why I wasn't surprised at all about the spaceship.
Did you take, like when you saw it now or when you saw it the first time when you were younger?
The first time when I was younger, I took it literally. That they were aliens, that's how vampires got here, is that they were aliens.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't. I'm gonna get further in the books because I want to see if they ever fucking explain this. Fucking, god damn it. Yeah, there's a spaceship, and I was like, holy shit. So the fun part about this is the thing they added to this movie is Carmilla. And Carmilla is basically actually the main bad guy who really doesn't show up till the very end. But she actually is trying to get Meyer Link and Charlotte there for her own purposes. She wants to use their blood to bring herself back to life, as she was killed by Dracula for basically being a blood whore.
Them titties.
Them bloody titties.
What is a blood whore?
She's a whore for blood, man. She fucking wants all the blood. I guess a blood slut may be better.
I just don't. Okay.
I like that. Blood slut. I like that.
She was killing and drinking way too much fucking blood. There's a whole thing in here where the nobility always talk about how they're much better than humans, but Dee always reminds them that their noble ancestor, Dracula, did not teach that and did not think that. So that's one, and the Carmilla thing is a part of that. He killed Carmilla because of that. But Carmilla's gonna come fucking back. But once again, my complaint with Vampire Hunter D holds here also. All of the fights are over very quickly. They do not last long.
She makes this comment about vampire souls being eternal, right?
Yes, she says vampire souls are eternal. Now, I don't know if it's like she thinks they're eternal because she got to be a ghost and locked in that castle and haunt the castle. Like, here's the thing. Are vampire ghosts the same as human ghosts? And some stay and some don't, and she stayed because of the tragedy that befell her?
That's actually what I was curious about. Is I was like, okay, so if vampire souls are eternal, then how come there ain't no more of them lingering around?
Yeah,
how
because
come Dracula's
says,
soul ain't somewhere? You know
Dracula, this is from the book, but Dracula is not dead.
Oh, okay.
Dee is actively trying to find Dracula in the books. And he does pop up every once in a while in the books. But you're right, because then Dee responds, well, with nothing lasts forever. So, and it's kind of like, so I don't know. If I would like to think that, no, they don't. That it's kind of like Ghost, or the being killed by Dracula gives you like a little extra, gives your soul a little extra. You're bound, because I think maybe the way she was killed with the sword being in her, maybe it trapped her soul to that castle.
I don't know, but I'm curious about it.
Yeah, this movie is full of fucking questions like that. Wanting to know, is there a place in the stars? Did vampires make it up to space, or did they come from space and they have the ability to return? They have an Asteroid M situation going on. There's just like a space station up there with all the vampires. I mean, maybe. I'm kind of curious. Did like one of them live on like fucking like, because the comic book that came out a few years ago is from a story that never got published until the comic book, and it involves going to Mars. Now, I have not read that, so I cannot speak on it. So they do at some point go to space, and it's kind of like, well, that's fucking. It's kind of like if you've ever played Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy II in America for the Super Nintendo. Towards the end of that story, they just randomly go to the moon. And you're
That's
like,
where the bad guys are.
Yeah, and you're just like, well, this medieval fantasy just took a weird fucking turn.
We're whalers on the moon. We carry a harpoon.
Oh my god.
I may have been watching Futurama recently.
Fair enough. One of the really cool things, I call this the Quint. There is a moment in this story where Dee needs a new horse, and he goes into this town to go buy a new horse. And the guy is this old dude. His name is Polk, and he's like, he gives a crazy amount for his horse, and Dee's like, "Bitch, I'm rich," and throws it down and buys it. But Layla kind of told the sheriff that there's a Dampier here, because of this movie, a Dunpeel. Because of the mistranslation I was talking about earlier.
Dunpeel.
And Polk actually pulls out a gun to stop the sheriff and tells a story about how a vampire took 4 children, and he happened to be one of those children. And after the Dampier saved him, the town folk basically was like, fuck you, get out of here, and kicked him out and treated him like shit. And he always felt bad about that. And it turns out D was that person. And so he lets D go with the horse. The cool thing about that is the second novel actually is a story. And now it's not the same story from here, but it is very similar, where 4 children go missing and 3 of them return a month later. And then 10 years later, D shows up because of rumors of nobility that can walk in the daylight. And it turns out it's all this other shit. But it's cool because it shows that there's a tie-in between vampires not only kidnapping women, but apparently they like kidnapping little children also. It's a common thing, which makes me wonder if vampires are pedophiles. Some of them. Possibly.
Well, I'm sure if they're thousands of years old, eventually they're going to get bored of regular adults. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll give it a shot.
Literally, fuck it. I'm going to fuck a child.
Well, you know, if you think about it, though, if you're alive for that long and you're already, you know, like most of them are portrayed as violent and they don't really give a shit about anybody but themselves. So eventually you're going to get bored of regular murder and rape and kidnapping and experiment.
Yeah, I do like in this one that they do show that the vampires have a sexual nature, because there's some of them that make vampires where like, oh, vampires can't fuck. And I'm just like, if I can't fuck, I'm not being a vampire.
Yeah, seriously.
Like,
what's the point of being able to float if you can't fuck on the ceiling?
There's one of the big ones that show that were vampires. Is that the Anne Rice vampires?
Yep.
Yeah, they can't fuck.
Like they can't or they don't want to?
They can't.
They can't get blood flow to their penis.
Oh,
I guess the women could still fuck.
Them.
Just the guys can't.
Their corpses and shit don't work the same way.
Yeah.
They get their ecstasy from the action of taking in the blood itself.
Yeah,
oh, gotcha.
But I don't like that just because I've always felt there's a difference in being undead and being dead. I felt like undead is supernatural and some of those rules don't apply. Like, because basically, if you're saying a vampire can't get an erection, then I refuse to believe a zombie can fucking walk.
That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like, if we're going to say zombies, and a lot of times, and I don't know if they do this in any of the Anne Rice ones where they have, like, zombies, but in a lot of vampire stories, they have the ability to, like, raise the undead or control different things. And if I'm at a point where, because in a lot, like, in the Vampire Hunter D world, vampires can make vampire zombies, basically.
Right.
You see it in this one when the Marcus clan rolls up in the town in their big-ass fucking tank, and he asks if there's anything weird, and the guy's like, no, nothing weird, and he's like, there's bite marks in your mouth, we're gonna fight now, and then they end up fighting off this, like, horde of basically zombies. And if they can do that, their dicks can get hard. is what I'm saying.
Oh, I follow you.
And I'm saying all this so I can justify how they could possibly be pedophiles. Which is a really strange ending to that.
Yeah, that's the reason why I didn't really partake in that conversation.
But I could see that happening, or it could be a thing of maybe children's blood is tastier. In the second novel, they did not kidnap.
Thing for grooming.
It could be. In the second one, they did not kidnap the kids to drink their blood or have them be sexual. It was so they could do experiments on them because they were trying to figure out the weaknesses of vampires, and they were on this whole dark gene thing. So they were like trying to kidnap some human children because it'd be easier to control them, to try to figure out if they have the light gene, to see if they can mix the genes and see what would happen. And like one of the kids go crazy, one of the kid disappears. 2 of them are kind of fine until 10 years later, where like one of them like turns to a zombie, the other one like turns to dust. But they're trying to experiment to see if they can mix it because basically if vampires could figure out a way to stop the defects of vampirism that don't make any sense to them, then they can literally be the greatest things to ever exist. and that's what they're trying to do. And it's in the book more than it is there with like the actual world, but in Bloodlust is not about that. It's about Carmilla trying to get on them bloody titties again, and
Woo!
yeah, and Meyer just trying to love this woman. And let's get into that. So Charlotte loves Meyer. Charlotte wants to become a vampire. Meyer doesn't want her to become a vampire. But here's the thing. You would think if you're a vampire, you would want her to become a vampire. So then you could, if you love her, you can live forever. Or maybe he feels like he's done this before, and eventually, like, no matter how much he loves her, he's going to be annoyed with her. And it's much easier to just let her die as a human than to kill her as a vampire.
That's true.
I don't know how to react about that, because, like, you know, I can understand the aspect of not wanting to turn him into a vampire, to not turn him into like the vicious monster that they perceive themselves as. And in Meyer's case, I think he perceives himself as that. That's part of the reason why I think that he doesn't consume humans. But at the same time, I mean, you know, it's like, if you're going to take her to another planet and y'all are supposed to live out your days in the stars or something like that, well, guess what, buddy? You're going to live a whole hell of a lot longer, and you ain't got no way to get back to get you another one.
Yeah, exactly. And she wants it. She's completely down to become a vampire. And he won't do it.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I've never understood that, because it's not just that movie. It's in several where if I'm not mistaken, in parts of Dracula didn't want to turn Mina into a vampire at first. And then eventually, you know.
Yeah. It's even in Vampire Hunter D when Doris is like, "Go ahead, D, take a bite. You can drink my blood. I'm down with it."
Yeah,
He's
get
like,
you
no.
some.
Like, and I get it, because there's always been a thing where people fall in love with vampires very easily. In all three of the Vampire Hunter D books I read, some bitch falls in love with D and wants D badly. He's very pretty. He is fucking all that is pretty.
Let him suck me.
I mean, I imagine with that Dracula face, it don't take a whole lot.
Probably not. But it's always this thing, and I actually like it in the when D goes into the Barbaroi town. The elder there kind of hits on D. It's like, I hope you don't mind an old man like me trying to get up on you. Like, it's really fucking funny that...
Give me some of that D.
Yeah. It's like that picture Jay posted in the group. She wants the D.
She does,
yeah.
to help her save the town.
No, she don't give a fuck about the town. That's actually one of the funny parts in the novel. Dude, that town is so ready to just fucking murder her. Like, they're like,
yeah,
fuck that shit. We want to kill the fuck out of her. And Doris is actually like a badass in the book. She's way fucking harder. Yeah.
I'm getting harder.
I get hard watching this fucking movie. Like, it is just one, like, I will say for this. This is a Blu-ray you need to get it. If you thought the transfer on the first one was amazing, holy shit.
Yeah, I got the DVD. I need to get the Blu-ray.
Oh my god, the Blu-ray is fucking breathtaking. I mean, that scene where Borgoff shoots the arrow and D catches it and his horse like rears up in the moonlight.
Fucking so badass.
If you watch that and you don't get any erection, you are an Anne Rice vampire. There is no ifs, ands, or buts around it. You cannot get blood to your dick. Whether you're an Anne Rice vampire or you have like a 12-inch penis and you have a hard time getting blood to it, because if you get blood to it, you're going to lose blood in your other head and you're going to pass out. Either way, there's just that scene is fucking amazing. I absolutely fucking love it.
Erection.
And I don't really think it matters which one of these movies you watch first, so I will probably say watch the first one first, because if you watch this one and then you go back and watch the first one, you might kind of go, yeah, that first one's not that great. I've heard people who love Bloodlust do not like the first Vampire Hunter D movie.
I like them both.
I love them both. I think Vampire Hunter D does not get the love that it should. Like, when a lot of people talk about, like, their first animes from our age group, Vampire Hunter D does not get brought up as much as Akira and Ghost in the Shell.
I'll be honest with you. I think Vampire Hunter D was probably the first anime I ever watched of that style. You know, like back in the day, you know, we had animes for us, like fucking Thundercats and shit like that. But I think Vampire Hunter D was like the first of the movie styles of stuff like that I actually watched. And then I think after that I got into Record of Lodoss Wars.
Yeah, so when it comes, that's a good thing we should get into. We should get into our beginnings of anime. Now, obviously, a lot of us watched, had an introduction to anime from Toonami.
The Blue Girl.
Yeah.
Not the Blue Girl.
That was one of my intros.
But like watching Dragon Ball Z on Toonami and Ronin Warriors and Tenchi Muyo and Mobile Suit Gundam.
Thundercats
is American, not anime. I wasn't going to correct you earlier, but since you brought it up again, not anime.
Okay.
By the way, did y'all see the fucking new Thundercats?
Nope.
Yeah, it looks fucking
doesn't
stupid.
exist.
Oh my god, it's so terrible. But I love that the guy who did the previous one was like, hey, we gave you exactly what you wanted. Y'all didn't support it, so go fuck yourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is pretty fucking funny. I'm sorry, Kenneth, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you when it really comes down to that. All right. And excuse my ignorance, but I'm curious. I mean, when we're discussing anime or something like that, outside of like Disney and shit like that, what really, is it just the fact that it comes from Japan or is there any other thing that constitutes it?
Originally, it was called Japanimation.
Yeah.
Is especially if you go back to the 90s, you'll see the big boom in like a lot of the sci-fi when it would show it stuff, it would call it Japanimation.
I remember the progression going from Japanimation to Japanime, then to anime.
Exactly. And that's what happened. And then it became anime is basically the Japanese style of quote unquote cartoons. Kind of like the difference between comic books and manga. Technically, same fucking thing. But it's different because of the culture that it came from, called it something else. Kind of like how you have Western RPGs and JRPGs. They're both role-playing games, but there's small key things of how they're done differently. And part like with JRPGs, you have more of a turn-based battle system that uses menus, as to where Western RPGs, or what we call tabletop-based RPGs, are more like your dungeon crawlers or using D&D style stats. As to where in JRPGs, it was basically, you know how like we'll take, like there's a whole joke where we take Japanese things and Westernize them?
Mm-hmm.
JRPGs are... They took a Western RPG and was like, way too complicated, simplify the fuck out of it, and make it a smaller menu-based thing. So what we normally do to them, where we kind of take it and dumb it down, they did that to us for JRPGs. But yes, basically it's just anime is Japanese animation. We just don't call it Japanese animation anymore because that's too much stuff that comes out of my mouth.
And the reason why I say that is because, you corrected me on that and I appreciate it. But at the same time, it's like that is the one, that being an American cartoon, that is the one American cartoon that I have seen that looks just fucking like Japanese.
No, I agree with you. If someone told me that Thundercats was originally done in Japan, I'd be like, no shit. I'd believe that.
Right, because it looks just fucking like it. The mannerisms, the way it walks, everything, the way the characters walk, the way they talk, everything. It looks Japanese.
I
So
agree
that's
with you.
so that's the reason why it's like, if you want to get technical about it, then yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But to me, that for that style, that'd probably be one of the earliest things that I can remember that would be that style of animation, because it looks just like it, even if it didn't come from Japan.
Fun fact: Transformers is developed simultaneously with Japan and America.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dude, there's so many things that you can actually see where it's either a Japanese series there's one series that combines like 3 different Japanese shows to turn it into like one American show, and I can't remember what it is, but yeah, if you ever get interested, you can look up like people who've done like these small documentaries that tell you like this show is actually like 3 or 4, or like how we have BattleTech here. It's actually called Macross in Japan, but they've like taken Macross and other things to put together to make BattleTech. Like,
yes.
Power Rangers was not the first time Americans took a bunch of Japanese shit, rolled it together, and put it in there. In fact, if you go back early enough, the first thing to ever really take Japanese stuff, add American shit to it, and then re-put it out for an American audience was Godzilla, King of the Monsters. That is like the earliest example of that happening.
I suppose that is correct.
Oh, okay. So now I'm looking it up on Wikipedia, and now I understand why Thundercats looks Japanese.
Did they hire a Japanese company to do it?
Yeah, the series for
Yeah.
which Leonard Starr was the head writer follows the adventures of a group of cat-like humanoid aliens. The animation for the episodes was provided by the Japanese studio Pacific Animation Corporation, with Masaki Izuka as production manager. The studio was acquired in 1989 to form Walt Disney Animation Japan.
Then I guess we actually do have to say Thundercats is anime.
Yeah.
Da-da-ba-ba.
I take back what I said. Fucking Thundercats is anime. It's
that-
official.
Revelation.
And the reason why I did that is because I was like, it looks too much like it. There's no fucking way that American people could do that.
You're
to
right,
look
because
just like it.
you put it next to like He-Man, Masters of the Universe,
Right.
Oh, God.
and it's so different.
So I was just like, I couldn't let that one go, because I was like, man, there's no fucking way. There's no way that Americans made it look that good.
So I get that that's a unique one because it uses American writing, and then the animation for it is Japanese. But we typically, I want to know what we call, because Netflix has been doing a lot of quote unquote animes, and I want to know, I want to look into some of them and see if they're using American studios to do the animation, and if they are they anime, or is this a new thing where Westerners are now making their own anime?
So
are they neo-anime?
Not for all of it, but for a good chunk of it, Netflix is just acting as the distribution for it. So it's already made animes, and Netflix is just acquiring the rights and putting it out. Much like Funimation has the Dragon Ball rights. Funimation is an American company, but they didn't invent Dragon Ball.
You know what I recently learned about that? Did you know Funimation was started by a Japanese guy in Texas who a family member of his in Japan called him because they worked in the industry, and they were like, dude, there's a thing over here called Dragon Ball. It is blowing the fuck up, homie. You need to get on this. And so the guy like got with another guy in Texas, and they sold off like a farm that they worked on or owned, and started Funimation just to bring Dragon Ball to America. And they teamed up with Saban Entertainment to put it out there, and Saban eventually kind of dropped it to go make Power Rangers. And then Funimation licensed it to Toonami. Well, licensed it to Cartoon Network, so Cartoon Network could use it for Toonami, and it blew the fuck up after Cartoon Network had the ability to edit it how they wanted it to and hire new people to do a dub, and that's how it blew up. Fun facts. What was my original point?
I was looking at what your original point was, where you were talking about how Netflix and other companies are doing quote unquote animes. Well, I mean, going by your original point, where you were talking about how it had to be done in Japan for it to be considered an anime. Well, the Castlevania series,
That's the one I was going to bring up. Thank you.
it was done by a company called, one of the companies was called Powerhouse Animation Studios, which is based out of Texas.
Yeah. So is anime now so, because it's the same thing with JRPGs. It's no longer, JRPG is now a style of RPG instead of a RPG from Japan. Has anime officially become that? Anime is no longer animation from Japan, but is a style of animation inspired by Japanese animation.
Here, listen to
Right.
this. All right, going back to Castlevania, listen to this. The show's art style has heavily influenced the work by Ayami Kojima did for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. They also took ideas from director Satoshi Kon's work from character expressions in series such as Cowboy Bebop and Berserk for inserting humor among the more serious elements. The show is produced using 2D hand-drawn animation, taking cues from Ninja Scroll and Vampire Hunter D, with staff members that previously worked on Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. The production works closely with Konami, the holders of the Castlevania franchise, who helped to identify small continuity issues, but were otherwise very receptive towards the work. So I think I think at this current moment, if you were just utilizing the Castlevania series, it could be considered a collaboration with Japanese. I mean, if not for anything else, Konami, but you got people that worked on Bloodlust.
So I guess we have to say that anime is now no longer just animation from Japan. Anime is a style. A style of animation that is inspired by Japanese animation. And now Americans can make it. So, man, we learned some new shit here today. Thundercats is an anime.
Yeah.
I might have to go back and watch like a few episodes of some OG Thundercats just so I can sit back there and go, you know what?
Just
Looking at Mumra's, hold on. Looking at Mumra's abs, those are Japanese abs. Those are 100%. Like, thinking about it, if you look at Mumra's design when he goes all beast mode, his, like, torso is definitely a Japanese anime style torso. I just want to point that out.
Go back and watch the intro to Thundercats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you really need to see. With the way they jump around, the speed lines on Chitara, whatever the hell her name is, the explosions, it just screams anime.
Damn, that's fucking, man. That's crazy to think. Like, wow. Okay. Sorry, I'm kind of flabbergasted at Thundercats right now. Like,
I'm glad that I could bring that up.
can we stop doing Kill the Cast and just do a podcast on Thundercats?
Well,
Dude,
we have that
fucking
side
love
one we're talking
Thundercats.
about.
Yeah, like Thunder. That's got to be enough. Yeah,
I've got the whole
guys,
series.
I'm pretty sure I might have to look into get. We're talking about doing a side cast, where we just pick something out of Nerdum and do a show on it. Like some of the first ones we're gonna do if we actually go through with this is the original Berserk anime from the 90s and the Matrix.
Yeah, I fucking love the Matrix.
That reminds me, I have questions for you, Jay.
Yeah, this is how we're gonna do. And so if you're cool with that and you want to see us do that, let us know. Because we for sure want to look into doing it. We would do it to try to not really affect Kill the Cast. We still want to put out at least 2 Kill the Cast shows every month. But maybe you would like to see us do one of those shows. Those would be a little bit different because we would take on like for Berserk, we're gonna have to watch 26 episodes. For the Matrix, I don't know if we would just do one movie or do all
could talk
3 plus the
for
animation.
hours and hours about the Matrix.
And maybe we do season 1 of Thundercats.
I wouldn't even have to prep for the Matrix show. You could tomorrow recording the Matrix show. Great, let's do it.
Kenneth, I can hear you wanting to do it right now. Kenneth is rearing up to ask you a question.
No, I was just gonna say, don't fucking jump right off of Skype after we get done recording.
Okay.
Hold up, but you should save that because I think we should do.
These are things that I have to get out of my head.
Okay,
now.
Fair enough. So, guys, if you would like to actually hear us do this side show where we kind of tackle other nerdy shows, and not just shows. We could do video games, we could do books, we could do all kind of different things. That would just be a lot of fun. Let us know. Also, did I forget to mention, there was a PlayStation 1 video game based off Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
You're welcome.
It slides, if you've played Resident Evil, it uses those exact same tank controls. It takes place completely in Carmela's castle. And it's not very good.
But you still have it.
Y'all know. Huh?
Yeah, but you do have it, right?
Yes, I have a copy on my shelf somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That I got from Kenneth.
Mm-hmm. That's why. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, guys, don't play that game. It's fucking awful. It is just not good.
I was actually surprised that they put it out at all.
I was surprised too, because there's also, but here's the thing though, like there was a gigantic boost of anime in the 90s, so in the early 2000s, so they were like, because there's a Ghost in the Shell game that came out for the PlayStation 1, there was a Record of Lodoss War game came out for the Dreamcast, a Berserk game came out for the Dreamcast.
Really?
Yeah, those Record of Lodoss game were, oh god, I just screwed that whole title up. That Record of Lodoss War game was legit.
Damn, I did not even know that.
It was like Diablo.
Dude,
if I remember correctly.
I just got on fucking Amazon.
Look, and, I need to order me a Dreamcast.
No, I'm looking at this Vampire Hunter D game. $202.
Don't ever. Okay, I'm gonna teach everyone here something real quick in case you don't know. If you want to look up used game prices, never look up Amazon.
Oh, the only reason why I was looking is I was just like, my god, because you can get the Japanese import for $23.
Oh, I'm sure if you go on eBay and look up sold listing, that Vampire D game for PlayStation 1 is probably like $20 used, complete.
Because I think, because sometimes when I get on Amazon, I'm just like, really? Some of these people on here, man, the shit that they ask for.
Average complete price of Vampire Hunter D is $25.
Exactly. So it's not one of those things where it like people go on Amazon and they'll list it at any price, just like you can do the same thing with eBay. And in fact, that's a lot of the reason when you see those YouTube videos that are like, here's 20 toys you used to own that are now worth $1 million. First one, your Game Boy Color. And it's like, no, Game Boy Color is not worth $1 million. But this person listed it for $600. Okay, but that's just a listed price. That's like the same thing with like, if you ever want to see something funny, look up Black Diamond Disney VHS tapes.
Yeah. Oh God. So there was like a BuzzFeed or one of them like clickbaity websites that said these movies are worth so much. It's because somebody somewhere listed them for an insane amount of money, and now everyone thinks they're actually worth money, which they're not. Because if you actually look at eBay and sold listings, they sell for a couple of bucks a piece, which is all any VHS should really be selling for.
You can go to Goodwill and find it. Like, there are VHS tapes out there that are rare and sell for thousands of dollars. There's one, Tales from the Quad Dead Zone or some shit like that. It's worth fucking bank. But Black Diamond Disney VHSs are not in that fucking category. But people like to think they are because BuzzFeed wrote an article based off some eBay listing they saw that someone just listed. I can list fucking a piece of Kenneth's toenail for $5 million. It doesn't mean it's worth $5 million. You have nice toenails, Kenneth, don't get me wrong. I've jacked off to them while you were sleeping one time, but they're not worth $5 million.
You know there's a fucking soundtrack on here?
For what, Vampire D?
Yeah.
Soundtrack, we didn't talk about that, but the soundtrack for both movies, fantastic.
Right. I didn't think they'd have just the individual soundtrack, but here it is. Cool.
It's fucking...
I'm on eBay
now. So, yeah, Bloodlust is one you definitely need to check out. Both these movies are fucking fantastic. And if we do another anime double feature, what movies do you guys think we should cover? Just spitballing. I feel like Ninja Scroll's up there.
Goddamn right it is.
Ninja Scroll so much. Every time you say Ninja Scroll, I'm just going to say I love Ninja Scroll.
I think we should do Ninja Scroll and Akira.
That'd be cool.
Akira could be its own episode, man. That's a deep fucking movie.
Oh, dude, I recently went through the manga. Holy shit.
Yeah, see, I like the idea, but I still like the idea of doing both of them because it's like both movies, even though Ninja Scroll is not nowhere near as heavy as Akira is, but they're totally fucking opposite ends of the spectrum too.
Yeah, it's kind of like
subject
Perfect Blue and Wicked City.
Right.
We're both kind of. I also want to point out that bravo to the director of Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, because normally when he does a movie, it is extreme violence, a lot of nudity, a lot of rape. They're like, you look at Wicked City, you look at Ninja Scroll. I've never seen the segment he did for the Animatrix, but I'm assuming there's rape in there.
Which do you know the name of it?
No, God, fuck no.
What's the director's name?
Hold up, I have it written down.
Because I can look at the name of the segment and tell you what it's about.
Yoshiki Kawajiri.
Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay, continue talking. I'm gonna do some IMDb research.
Yoshiaki,
you guys.
Yoshiaki.
Thank you. Kenneth, can I just have you like say the Japanese names from now on?
Yeah, it's Yoshiaki
And this is
Kawajiri.
This is Bloodlust, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. He did one of
There we
the
go.
fucking ones for the Animatrix. Or some shit. But he normally does like very hyper violent, hyper sexualized like things. But on Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, I felt like he reared that shit back and was like, I'm about to be so goddamn professional on this. And while he had elements of that in here, it was like, if you would have told me that this is the same guy who did Wicked City and did Ninja Scroll, I would be like, holy shit, really? Because it just seems like a much more, it comes from a much more mature director. But I guess it shows his range. He can handle something that he takes more serious, where it's, I'm gonna trim some of this stuff because I want it to be like, he left out the rape that's in the novel. There is rape in the novel. He had full use of rape, and he was like, no, I'm gonna chill.
Well,
I'm not gonna do that.
You also got to think about target audience too. I mean, it's like, those types of themes may be regularly rampant in Japan. I'm not sure, but they could be regularly rampant in Japan. But for a wider range audience to get here in America, you can't have that shit in there, man.
So in the 90s boom of anime, and also the 90s boom of anime in Japan, you had a lot more animes that were coming out that were more extreme and more out there. In fact, a lot of the promotion for like sci-fi or whatever, when they put out their commercials, it was always about how extreme and adult this anime is and how crazy it was. Like, because this guy also directed Goku Midnight Eye, which is another fucking crazy
I love
one.
that movie. I can't find it anywhere.
I can send you a digital copy.
No. I mean to purchase. Like.
Oh, okay. But you had tons of animes like the Go-Go 13 Killer Bee, Twilight of the Dark Master, Biohunter. You had all these like really crazy fucking out there animes that were coming out in the 90s. And then as you rolled into the 2000s, they started calming down a bit more with that as they were becoming more accepted in America for standard stuff, mostly because of what a lot of the anime series were doing. Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho and shit like that. We're like, well, if we calm down, we can get more of this younger American audience. So yeah, I do believe you're right in that. They considering the times, they probably did calm that shit down a lot to actually do that.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it goes into one of my key phrases, that I love so much, is that everything is situational. And that's one of those things that's situational. I mean, it's like, you can't get to a teenage audience or I guess early teen or preteen audience, that are majorly into shit like you were saying, like Dragon Ball and stuff like that. You can't get that when the parents find out that you've got this fucking big rock dude that's holding this chick by the neck and fucking basically fucking her until he nuts and rips her in half. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
it's
that's not
just-
for you, children.
right.
My mom
mean-
just assumed they were cartoons and let me rent whatever I wanted.
Yeah, same here. I rented Agent Akio when I was a very young
which
lad.
is actually how I rented La Blue Girl. I was like, no, Mom, it's just one of my Japanese cartoons. Don't worry, it's just violent. That's
And
why
you know
it
what's
says
funny
adults only. She's like,
is
okay, whatever.
When you look at because Urban Vision put out a lot of these. I rented so many fucking Urban Vision. Ones put out Wicked City, Biohunter, Vampire Hunter D, and on the back they have a thing that says for mature audience. Some of them would say like absolutely not for children, for adults.
Yeah, those are my favorite. Oh man.
And I'd be able to rent them because one, my dad really didn't give a shit what I watched except for South Park, so I could watch whatever the fuck I wanted. In fact, one of the two DVDs I owned as a kid, the first two DVDs I owned was Shark Hunter and Akira. And back then, buying anime was Akira was probably like a fucking $40 DVD when I bought it. It was one of the first like big DVDs you bought for anime. And I remember buying like fucking after that buying Wicked City and buying Perfect Blue. And like they were so fucking expensive, but it was better than buying episodes because you literally would pay $40 and you got 4 episodes of a series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I can remember
Fucking sucked.
the only place when I was a teenager, the only place where you could buy animes like that was at Tim's Comic Shop when it was a lot smaller than what it is now. And yeah, man, we would go in there, me and Shane would go in there, and you know, my dad Jerry, you knew my dad. He'd watch damn near anything. So fucking I didn't have the luxury of a parent being like, "Oh, it's just," you could just say, "Oh, it's just one of your Japanese cartoons." Oh no. No, my dad was into Asian culture. He wasn't dumb. And
Okay.
so
Sorry.
them but when we were going to Tim's, man, me and Shane would go in there and shit, and you'd spend $50 fucking dollars. Like I remember trying to get my hands on a DVD copy of Vampire Hunter D because Shane had it. And then I tried to get him, and Tim would have to fucking order it for me. And if he ordered it for me, it was like $50 fucking dollars.
Yo,
Anime was expensive.
holy shit! I used to get it from Suncoast. There was a place it was not a Circuit City, and it wasn't a Best Buy, but it was like those stores. But they had a big anime section where they actually had toys. Like I bought my first Dragon Ball Z toy there.
It wasn't
Which
Media
was,
Play, was it?
Oh my god, that's what it was. Media Play in Georgia.
That's
Mhm.
funny.
And it wasn't. I don't remember what part of Georgia it was because I know we had to travel because I lived in Griffin, and I know we had to travel to get there.
The two media plays that I know of, there was one in Douglasville and there was one in Morrow up by South Lake Mall.
It was. I really don't remember because I was in elementary school.
It would have probably been that one because it was just a straight shot to get up to Morrow from fucking Griffin
Yeah.
up 75.
But I bought a toy of Kid Trunks, and that
Nice.
shit hadn't even shown in America yet. I only knew about them because of spending 5 hours to download a 30-second clip from Trunks as a kid in fucking one of the
Fucking
Broly movies.
Dial up. Oh man, that's the best.
Yeah, it was fucking awful. Me and my dad's ex-fiance's kid Billy, we would be fucking downloading fucking 30-second clips from Dragon Ball Z from shit that didn't show up here.
Yeah.
You know, in America yet. It was crazy. So I'm guessing you found that thing about Animatrix?
Yeah. Okay. So he directed the segment called Program. The
Was
Animatrix.
it programming rape?
No, there's no rape
Oh.
in this. And
What?
I can't remember if the violence is graphic. I don't think it's too bad. That might have been a request from the Wachowskis. I don't know, because the Matrix isn't really graphic at all as far as the violence is concerned. But
No, they're
anyway,
only graphic and ripping off Ghost in the Shell.
but all right, shut up. So anyway, the Animatrix is comprised of a few different segments. A few of them are written by the Wachowskis that directly tie into the movies. The other ones are just ones that take place within the same universe. This happens to be one of those. It's produced by Madhouse, who did the Vampire Hunter D's, Trigun, One Punch Man, so on and so forth. But basically,
Madhouse is fucking amazing.
takes place in a simulation that is set up to look like feudal Japan. the main character fights a bunch of random samurais at the beginning. Then she fights another, I don't even know what to call him, another Matrix inhabitant. As they're fighting, the opposition goes on and on about how he wants to be plugged back into the Matrix, how he's going to contact the machines and be like, put me back in and I'll help you fight them, and tries to convince her to join him. And she says no. And then at the end of it, you find out, after she kills him, at the end of it, you find out it's just a test simulation to make sure that you're not going to turn on the humans. But it's a good segment from what I can
What's
remember.
wrong with turning on humans?
The animation is really decent, and of course, with it being in feudal Japan, you get a lot of cool, awesome samurai shit going on.
All right, well, that sounds dope. Maybe we'll cover it when we get to the Matrix Part 3 or whatever. So
well,
before
you
we
watch
get
Animatrix between 1 and 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. So episode 1.5. So before we get out of here, guys, let's kind of real quickly just kind of shout out some of our favorite animes in case anyone else wants more recommendations.
Just in general?
Yeah, just in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be in horror. For me, Berserk is my all-time favorite fucking anime ever, manga ever, everything ever. It's one of the greatest stories I've ever read. It's still ongoing in the manga form to this day. It's got an original series from 95 or something like that. It's got 3 movies that came out not too long ago, and then it has a very, 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 very fucking horrible CG anime that started in 2016. It's 2 seasons in, and it looks god awful. And I mean bad. Like
Yeah.
it's not just
CG,
the anime.
CG
it's
doesn't
not just
belong.
the CG. No, CG can work. The 3 Berserk movies that has CG in it also. The reason why this one doesn't work is because the person fucking making it has never made fucking CG anime before and doesn't know how fucking camera angles work and keeps fucking flipping around because he doesn't know how to make fucking jack shit because everything he's made before this is fucking 2D cutesy little girl shit and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing and he's ruining Berserk. I only watch it because the story's so goddamn good, but he's fucking with like I'm not fucking. He is just fucking awful.
Your rant is cracking me up.
Berserk, and if you want to get into something really fucking heavy, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh man, that'll make you question your fucking reality.
Yeah, and then
that's an existential crisis wrapped up in a fucking anime.
Yes. I'm a huge Ghost in the Shell fan, and I'm a huge Trigun fan. Those so Berserk, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Trigun, and Ghost in the Shell. Jay, what do you got?
Okay, so my all-time favorite is Dragon Ball Z. Show has a ton of flaws though, but it was like the anime that got me into anime, so it's always got a special place in my heart. Let's see. Cowboy Bebop. That's probably one of the best animes that I'm also a fan of. Cowboy Bebop is fantastic, consisting of, I think there's 26 episodes and a single movie. You watch the movie
and you only
in
have to watch like
the last 2
4
episodes. What? No, stop that.
No, you can literally watch 4 episodes and the movie, and you have like what is Cowboy Bebop, and then everything else is basically their version of Monster of the Week things that give you like little bits and pieces of more of the background story for each character. But literally, if you just want to know like the story of Spike, you watch 4 episodes in the movie.
I guess. Either way, it's fantastic, and everyone should watch it. Full Metal Alchemist. There's 2 of them out there. I prefer Brotherhood because it's closer to the manga.
I will say this. I started Full Metal Alchemist, and I was like 5 episodes in, and I was like, this is hot garbage, and I stopped watching it. But recently, I watched Brotherhood, and oh my fucking god, that was good.
Yeah. So watch Brotherhood. It's way better than the original, in my opinion. Some people still prefer the original, but
if
Brotherhood is closer.
If they prefer the original, they're fucking wrong. Okay, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they can go fuck themselves.
But the Brotherhood is closer to the manga. Couple movies, Ninja Scroll, that's really good. Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, fucking amazing. I don't know why.
Street Fighter 2 V, the animated series.
That show's good too. but not as amazing as Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. I don't know why someone can't just take this fucking story and make it a goddamn live action movie. It's not that damn hard. They just assume everyone knows who the character is, which is how you make a video game movie. We don't need stupid ass backstory. We don't need stupid half Asian people playing Chinese people. And we don't need, it's just make a goddamn Street Fighter movie that's good. Fucking people. Either way, that's amazing. Great fights. The special moves are in it. The characters look great, and the story is simple. That's it. There's tons of other shit, but start with that.
Kenneth, you got any you want to throw out there?
Street Fighter.
Let me see. Thundercats. Let's see what else.
I deserve that.
Yeah, Wicked City. That one's great. We've talked about it before. Ninja Scroll, the Ninja Resurrection series, even though it didn't go very far, I really enjoyed it. I wish they had.
For the record, not related to Ninja Scroll, technically, but literally they want to be the spiritual successor to Ninja Scroll so fucking hard that they faked it until they made it.
Yeah, and then it just fucking cliffhangered off, which pissed me off, but
that's true.
It was really fucking good. What else? Let's see. Bible Black. Mistreated Bride. Those are some good ones. You know what I'm saying? Dragon Ball Z always, man. The Dragon Ball series, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Those are fucking, both of them are great.
I have a horror, like I went back recently and watched some Dragon Ball Z, and I think I'm never gonna go back and watch the series again. I think if I watch any more of it, I will just ruin it for myself, because there are so many things now that I can see on it that I'm just like,
so I'm the
holy
kind of person.
Shit, there's huge flaws.
I'm the kind of person that can recognize the flaws and still enjoy it. Like, it's a very formulaic show. Bad guy shows up, good guys lose, good guys get stronger, bad guy loses, bad guy shows up.
It's not that, it's Goku.
It's okay. It's okay, because Vegeta story arc is worth the whole thing anyway.
Fucking amazing, but Goku is literally the worst superhero, the worst good guy, the worst protagonist I've ever fucking seen. He is a fucking awful father. He is a fucking awful husband. He's an awful fucking human being. He's an awful Saiyan.
I wouldn't say he's an awful human being.
Let's see. In Dragon Ball Super, he knowingly puts the world in jeopardy like 3 times because he wants to fight stronger people and doesn't really give a shit that the world might get destroyed.
Goku always, aside from the real deep parts of it that you just said, the minimalist part of Goku always reminded me of Superman.
Goku is the most selfish person that's ever been called a good guy, ever. He literally puts himself and his wanting to fight above everything. Above friends, above family, above the fucking safety of the world, safety
and they
of Earth.
keep wishing to bring him back.
and even then, when he's like supposed to like he literally destroyed King Kai's planet and fucking killed King Kai, and he still hasn't brought that motherfucker back, even though he had the ability to, because he gathered all the Dragon Balls. He still didn't fucking do it. Goku is a piece of shit, and I'm sorry, Zach, if you're listening, but Goku is fucking awful. How have you never kissed your wife? How have you had sex with your wife and yet you've never kissed her on the lips? How does that even fucking happen? Even Vegeta calls you out, saying that Saiyans are supposed to treat their wives better. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Vegeta is the best character in Dragon Ball Z.
He is.
Hands
100%.
down.
Vegeta is the best, and then Future Trunks is the second best, character development wise. Even though Future Trunks is my favorite character of all time in Dragon Ball Z.
Future Trunks is fun, but
Does Vegeta treat Bulma well?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh God. Holy shit.
Because I never really paid attention to it until you guys said something.
Oh my God. If you watch Battle of the Gods, he literally eats his fucking pride to try to like keep Beerus happy, and then when Bulma gets pissed off and slaps the shit out of Beerus, he basically is like, I'm gonna die, but I have to because you just hit my wife, because he slaps her back. And Vegeta goes fucking insane.
Yeah, I fucking love Vegeta so much.
It's the second most like nicest thing Vegeta's ever done. Just because nothing's gonna top the scene when he's Majin Vegeta and he hugs Trunks, and then he's like, "I'm dying now, guys, but I'm gonna save all of you."
Oh, that shit was so fucking good.
To repent.
Again,
Best scene of Dragon Ball Z. Period.
That was my
to me,
favorite.
there's no scene.
That was my favorite section of Dragon Ball Z is Majin Vegeta. That whole thing. He's fucking.
Mine's the Android
Goku.
Saga.
I'm about to hop on and just watch the fucking.
So good.
The Android Saga for me is always my favorite, but I think it's because Future Trunks.
Like
Like,
the
it's
first
just
time
balling.
Majin Vegeta fights fucking Goku, dude, my dick was hard. I was like,
Dude.
Oh, fun fact, and now that we're completely off topic, fun fact, Vegeta has technically never ever lost to Goku. So there's that. Every time they fight, somebody else intervenes or the fight ends for some other reason. The very first fight, Goku would have died if it wasn't for Yajirobe. If Yajirobe was just one-on-one, Goku got bodied. Goku got fucking bodied by Vegeta until Yajirobe intervened by fucking luck, cutting off his tail.
You're right, 100%.
And then the Majin fight ends because Vegeta has to sacrifice himself. They never actually finished a fight.
Yeah, you're right. Holy shit.
Like I said, no wonder he's pissed off all the time.
All right, well, fuck, let's get out of here. One last Vampire Hunter D fact for you. The guy who voiced Vampire Hunter D in the first movie voiced the trailer for Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, even though he did not play D in Bloodlust.
Interesting.
So, there you go. Thank you, everyone, for and also, if you're wondering why we're not doing the iTunes giveaway, it's because right before we went on, I tried to pull up iTunes, and it crashed on my computer. So, we're going to do it next one. So, we'll pick two winners between Patreon and iTunes. So, check all that out. As always, you can find us on Facebook. We have a page and a Facebook group. Come in the Facebook group where we do all kind of polls and random talks and yeah, come in the Facebook group. You can do tribute photos to Kenneth. Hint, hint. We have a YouTube channel where we are doing a weekly news series. So if you want to just pop on like a 15 to 20 minute video that will give you small updates on what's happening in the world of horror, including new releases coming to Blu-ray or new movies coming to theaters, check that out along with other series. Jay does a fantastic job putting those together. We of course have a Patreon that you can check out and donate to if you want, and kind of give us stuff to do, pick stuff we can do. I got a little bit of Patreon stuff I need to get done maybe for the next show. Other than that, we are on killthecast.podbean.com, and we are also on legionpodcast.com. Check out Legion Network. Tons of great shows on there. I highly recommend Hero Ghost Show if you're looking for one. Their Godzilla vs. King Kong episode produced Elvis Kong, which is the funniest fucking thing in the world. Definitely check that out. Other than that, guys, anybody got anything they want to say?
No, watch our news show and give me advice on what you'd like to see, because I need
feedback.
Yeah, feedback. That's it. Give me fucking feedback, you pieces of shit.
That's what we call our fans. We call our fans pieces of shit.
They love it.
As long
Exploding heads have headites. We have pieces of shit.
And anybody out there that's listening that can recommend some of the most absolutely violent and depraved anime out there, throw me some links.
Yeah, definitely.
Depraved
you've got
anime?
animes.
Let's see.
I mean, because I'm one of the Jerry knows I'm one of those guys that, you know, when it comes to other stuff other than like the mainstream stuff that we talked about, I love the most violent, sickest shit that you can think of.
Parasite's pretty violent.
I've watched
Parasite's
that.
pretty violent.
Gantz. That was
Gantz
good.
is good. Biohunter is a good movie. Twilight of the Dark Master, which I know you've seen Twilight of the Dark Master because I'm pretty sure I've made you watch that.
I think I've seen Biohunter.
There's Biohunter. You've probably seen. Goku Midnight Eye is pretty good.
I haven't seen that one.
I don't think that one's like super graphic though.
Where's that fucking when Goku Midnight Eye? Is it that or fucking Biohunter where they use the chick's head as a motorcycle fucking thing?
Nice.
I can't remember which one it was.
I don't know. I don't remember that in Goku Midnight Eye, but again, it's been forever since I watched it.
Oh, I love the violence of Japanese anime.
So yeah, throw us some fucking violent weird shit. Give us AMV Hell Zero. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, I tried to look those up to show to somebody, and I could not find them.
I believe I've got a copy I can send you.
Those are fucking great.
I only have AMV Hell Zero because it's the fucked up one.
It's the hentai one.
Yes, correct.
More cord.
Yeah. So, with that being said, guys, we are out of here. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time on Kill the Cast. We'll jump back into regular horror for our next show. So, with that being said, we love you, you pieces of shit. That's not a good name, Jay. That's not.
Sorry.
We gotta rethink that. Can we go back to just calling them the cast and talking about killing them? Where's Watson at? I need him to make me another commercial. By the way, I hope you guys who listened to the Watson interview enjoyed that. If you know who you want me to interview next, let me know. I know Kenneth's mad because he wasn't on that show, so maybe you'll have to give me someone that Kenneth likes so he can be on one of those again. I know Dave said he wants to come back on with but he wants someone else to come on with him. So we'll see what happens there. Other than that, we are out of here, guys. We will see you next time.